Connecting and correcting is what we call, it falls into these intentional interventions, which are ways for coaches to help them to self-correct their behavior in the short term and develop character in the long term, right? Now, you could yell at a player to get out back on defense, and they may correct their behavior, but are they developing the character long term to consistently sprint back on defense? No, typically not. So, connect and correct, these intentional interventions are grounded in brain science, and they're grounded in the idea that we don't just want compliance. We don't want them just to change because we told them to change. We want them to change because that's who they want to be. That's the type of player they want to be. So my three favorite things, or three of my most popular ones, I would say, in connect and correct, is just to press pause. It's non-negotiable, which means we will enforce the standard. We won't hold them accountable to it. But if the player is heated or I'm heated, when a player walks in late to the gym, sometimes it's just like, hey, I'll be with you in about 10 minutes. I'm in the middle of running practice. I don't need to stop and have this conversation in front of the team. If I knew that, I would say I would have saved myself at least 100 conversations in my time as a coach. When a player walked in, I felt like I had to make a freaking point right in front of the team right then and there. And it doesn't go well for anybody. They become defensive. They got lots of excuses, and I only get pissed off more. We can all press pause. We're going to address it. It's just I'm not in the state, or they're not in the state to address it. Asking open questions doesn't necessarily mean we're laying them off the hook, okay? What it does mean, and I'll share, is I want to come in there and be curious. I'm seeking understanding. Now, my on-time policy is there's two types of you're late. You're late and you didn't tell me you're going to be late, and then you're late and you told me you're going to be late. You're late and you didn't tell me you're going to be late. We got a bigger problem, okay? But I still am going to come in and ask that question of like, hey, what's going on? And I've shared this story a million times before with people, but I remember one time a player walked in, he was late, and I had gotten better as a coach. A few earlier, JP wouldn't have been so good, but I just say, hey, Wayne, what's going on? And he's like, I just got a call. My dad's in jail. He just got arrested yesterday. And holy crap, man, like how much of a jerk I could have made myself out to be for just jumping on his case. I pressed pause. Hey, what's going on? And if it was traffic, all right, man, we'll talk about it later. We don't need to solve this problem now, right? I can sit down and talk to them about time management and all those things and support them in those moments later, but I'm not ready to do it. It's not the best use of my time right now. I need to be coach and practice. Or I could train my assistant coaches up on those. They can have these conversations. But we're asking open questions. And then sometimes if we got repeat offenders, or we got guys that we know have problems, there's another tool we talk about, which is the player improvement plans and the consistent one-on-ones. Well, Johnny's always late. Well, the big thing can be is like, hey, man, how can we help you in those moments? Or let's say, late's not a great one. This is more so like competing. So Johnny's not competing. We know he struggles to compete, or he struggles to maintain focus in practice, or he's got an issue with complaining, which is one of my non-negotiables. Then I can work with them in that moment based upon we've had a conversation before the moment. We call it the conversation before the conversation, right? So we've agreed to some ways that I could intervene.